feel like ravishing Rick Rude today. He goes, cut my music. We're just cutting the music. We're just going to jump all in. All Knicks family, what's good? What's good? What's good? How's everybody out there in Knick land? As we know, the New York Knicks are one settle. Yeah, not a bad time. We've seen a little bit of pretty interesting streak from the New York Knicks. I don't think that we absolutely know what this team is. I am the resident ophthalmologist tonight because you know what? I had to correct my glasses trying to figure out. I wear them every once in a while, but I'm just saying I'm trying to figure out what this team that we're seeing right now. And as you know, I'm with my boy Big Cuff from upstate. Joe, how's it going, brother?
It's going real good. Looking forward to tonight's game, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's like, man, we're up 1-0 on a dominant hot streak over the last 3 games. I mean,
a 3-game butt kicking streak.
Man, I think when we take a look at Atlanta, obviously, that series, we figured that, we should have beat them. I mean, I think that was the thought. How handedly we've beaten them in those last 3 games. I guess we can kind of think of it as being a little bit of a fluke, I guess, so to say. They just was an inferior team. Knicks are favored, obviously. We believe that the Knicks are a championship team, blah, blah, blah. We're going to hear all the little whatever quirks that go with the Knicks and that win. And just it's just like the bullies just came and they just took over. So, nobody's going to give us credit. However, we come up to this Philly team. They're fresh off a 7-game series with Boston, a series in which they came back 3-1, as we know. Well, we already know what the one excuse we're going to give, which is that they were tired, But never mind that, the Timberwolves had the same scenario playing the Game 7, and they came in and beat San Antonio the other night. So, we're not going to talk about those scenarios. But, however, let's just put it where it is. In the words of Stone Cold Steve Austin, what they stomped a mud hole in their ass and they walked it down. That's literally what happened. There's no other way of saying it. With Philadelphia, the Knicks are capable of exactly what you say. I think that's what people need to start, saying that this team at its max ceiling could look somewhat like this against a team if they do not decide to come play that night. So usually we're on the end of that. I just wanted to know your feeling after watching Game 1 and what we've seen as a sequence over the last 3 games. How impressed have you been with the New York Knicks and Mike Brown's offense?
I've been really surprised. I spent the better part of the first half of that Atlanta series wondering where those offensive changes were. It seemed almost like everyone knew what needed to happen, but it wasn't happening.
Yeah.
And then again, like I said last week, I think somebody came down from the front office with a shotgun and told them, look, you need to run the offense through Cat. And you saw the dividends right away. I mean, it's not like Cat suddenly became the focal point of the offense. It was taking 23 shots a game, but the offense seemed to flow through him. You saw a different skill set. I mean, one that you knew was there. You knew he could pass the ball. But seeing it in application these last couple of days has been really fantastic. Brunson has been a beast. Our wings, Ty. Our wings.
Our
Dobermans, baby. Seeing Dobermans and, signs of life all over the place. And you start to look at this team with a more competent bench and you go, can we really play with anyone? I mean, really stand in and lay wood on anybody in the league right now?
I mean,
I play like that. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
As a Knicks fan, you get ahead of yourself. Like you start making, great plans and stuff like that. But no, it's been really heartening because we've seen things that have been frustrating through the season, decisions that have been made rotation-wise, offensively, things like that. And you just see it all kind of congeal into a monster. And I mean, it has been a monster, chewing people up and spitting them out, playoff teams.
Yeah.
So I do think that again, that 7th game in Boston probably played a part in them being a little flat-footed when they came in, but still, that was a full-on beating. Like, they took them out to the shed. It was not good. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see what happens tonight, and just excited for my team.
Yeah, I think this is one of the few times where, as Knicks fans, obviously you brought up a great point about getting ahead of ourselves. But, I've also been a firm believer that why can't we poke out our damn chest like a chicken every once in a while? Why can't we be the peacock walking around strutting for once and believing in our team? I know it's always an undermined thought that Knicks fans are extreme. Obviously, you hear all the media pundits and all the downplaying of how great this team has been or can be or when they are great, etc. We see the piling on of the wood, obviously, when the Knicks are terrible or they screwed up or they're on a losing streak, but the same fervors never lend to the team once they are successful. And sometimes it's by our own fans. I mean, just let's keep it a buck. The Stockholm Syndrome is real in New York. They are literally not used to this. For us, they're much older. We've seen successful Knicks teams. But however, I'm only sure people have a cynical attitude when it comes to the New York Knicks over the last 3 decades or more because, we've been terrible. Like they showed a few of those old lineups, when of our team. I'm like, well, damn.
Those get funny, man.
Yeah. Why did somebody get fired? A lot. But the front office should have been ripped apart when you see Langston Galloway was like the star on one of those. It's like, are you freaking kidding me?
Mario Hezonja.
And then it's like Mitch became the Where's Waldo. So it's like, where's Mitch? Like he's the one guy that's been in all the photos over the last year. And you're like, damn, Mitchell Robinson, the awkward kid that never wanted a microphone in his face, just an introvert. Clearly, we've all felt that way. And now you look at Mitchell Robinson as the elder statesman of the New York Knicks. And one of their leaders. I mean, I'm going to definitely say he's one of the leaders, at least.
And homegrown.
Homegrown. Like, shout out to Eric, who always wanted one of the homegrowns. This wasn't the green version of the homegrown that people have been utilizing the comfort of their own homes, with no supervision. Those kind of homegrowns. We actually have a Mitchell Robinson homegrown that he's been fantastic and obviously a huge impact to the New York Knicks' success. Definitely with the Twin Tower aspects, him and Karl Anthony Towns obviously play extremely well together, and they offer something that most teams can't, which is 2 7-footers that are capable of definitely out-rebounding most any team in the league. I don't think there's a team that I would fear if those two guys in the lineup, along with Josh Hart, and now we're seeing OG Anunoby. These guys are – and let me just throw him out. I can't even just throw Josh Hart in there. Jordan Clarkson, another dude that we're seeing – contributing on the offensive boards. When you put those two dynamic players, in your front court along with those guys, the complementary players, you probably won't get a rebound anytime soon. So shout out to those guys. And like I said, Mitchell Robinson is the Waldo of the New York Knicks, and it's a great thing to think about. But we talk about, contributions, and I know shout out to Eric. He may be going to the game. We're not quite sure if he is going, whatever. Yeah, it's all about this. You ain't lying. This is a real triangle offense. I know it's a triangle. That's what we're talking about right now. But I want to bring up this guy because I wish Eric was here because I'd like to see what his face would look like when I'm going here.
I know where we're going.
Especially when the banner comes up because.
He's been playing good, man.
Hey.
Credit where credit's due. I mean, nothing for nothing. I've lost faith in him at a couple of different points this season, but I got to give credit where credit's due. He's playing well, man.
He's playing well, and I'm bringing up the thuggeration of Macau. Don't mess with Macau Todd Bridges, I guess is so to say.
Todd Bridges.
I know some of y'all are too young for that. Joe and I will find glee in talking about that. But however, there was a time when Todd Bridges was a menace, in Hollywood.
Oh, yeah. He was unhinged there for a while.
Oh, he was unhinged. And I don't know, Macau called his cousin up and said, yo, Bridges, teach me teach me how to Dougie, I guess maybe. I don't know. But needless to say, it wasn't my words. Of course, I've kind of like tweaked it and, waxed a little poetic with it. But however, it was Joel Embiid who brings out this thing about Mikal Bridges, during what seemed like a screen from Joel that ended with, 1-2 Kung Fu. And next thing you know, Joel is bent over the rails like he's about to Earl. Because in his abdomen section, according to him, the dirty Mikal Bridges dude, I don't know, body checked him. I mean, which I think is hilarious because anytime you see a guy Mikal Bridges size, I'm just completely tongue-in-cheek about this menace thing, but when you look at him, Philly should, as a Philadelphia fan, if you are, and this dude, this grown 300-pound mammoth of a man, suddenly got folded by Mikal Toothpick Bridges, because that's literally what it looks like. It's like a toothpick being thrown at a brick building. And this is who you claim is a dirty player. And because of that, that's why you're keeled over and you got taken out of the play and you wonder if he's dirty now. I don't think Mikal Bridges, if he was Pigpen, he couldn't get dirty. I don't even think he's that type of player. He's just literally, I do respect this in this regard. He did show some physicality. That's something that we as Knicks fans have wondered whether or not he was down to get down and dirty on any play.
He's gone to the rim on some occasions.
We're starting to see some of the things we were wanting from him. Yes.
So I got a question real quick.
Mm-hmm.
You know how Jimmy Butler always had that playoff Jimmy moniker?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is there a playoff Mikal?
Mm.
I mean, I'm thinking to last year. I'm thinking that some of his best performances of the Knicks have been in the playoffs. Is there a version of a playoff Mikal? Is that way we're seeing or potentially can look forward to? He seems to make big plays in the playoffs.
I've always been a person when I look at – there's one, not as a Knick. I look at when Mikal Bridges was – shout out to Eric. We got to put this out. Hold on. You went white man on it. That's one of my favorite lines of that movie. But I'm going back to Mikal Bridges in Phoenix. He was a utility. Obviously, we knew him coming out of Villanova. He was a talent. Obviously, we thought he would be what he is. He's a 3-and-D wing type. But what's surprising was the year that they actually went to the finals, that Mikal Bridges clearly was becoming the most outstanding player in that series. If Phoenix was to go on and win, he would have probably been MVP of the series. He was that lights out and that capable. We saw the same thing of him in college when he's in Villanova. He shows up in big moments. Probably, once again, we go back to what we discussed, I think, last week or a couple of weeks ago, those dudes that are unexpected, like the Mario Ellies we talked about, guys that show up in those moments where you just don't think that they're the person. Needless to say, they end up being the ones that kill your team or kill their opponents and help you win championships. I don't want to think that Mikal is ever going to be the special, what we're seeing from OG. I don't think that's Mikal Bridges. I don't think we're going to see that elevated guy. I think he's very much a coasting player. He doesn't offer the same physicality. But however, what we have seen, a body of evidence as a New York fan, he's been here 2 years in a row. We've been in the playoffs 2 years in a row. He's had his big moments. I always say he had credit for me.
Last year, he had some of the biggest moments.
And he had credit. That's why I wasn't hard on him this year, because we've seen this story before, an underwhelming regular season, and then we get out of Boston with two dubs because of that dude closing out games.
Only that dude.
And you got to look at who it happened against. When you think about, okay, we take away the regular season. Like, we knew that he was a little underwhelming the first year. He canceled the check on two of what is believed to be two elite top 5 players back then. That was Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's the MVP of the finals. Yeah. So to know that he packed up 2 suitcases of dudes that were potential MVPs and have a ring, that was him. That wasn't no one else. You know, as much as we talk about OG's defense, and those were McCall's moves, the block on Tatum, the stripping down of Jaylen Brown. These were things that McCall offered, and those were big moments. To me, he had credit after that. I was like, I don't give a damn what he's doing during the regular season as much as show that crap up in the playoffs. And so far, what we're seeing even in the last game and the game prior to that, I believe also, he's put up the numbers and he's shown the proper amount of aggression. You know, and I think all the Knicks are. I think all the Knicks have been talked to. I think everybody got the memo finally. But McCall in particular, he went away from being someone who didn't want physicality to suddenly he sucker punched Joel Embiid. It's like, what was that? Mike Tyson.
Defense on Maxey. Let's not forget that.
The Maxey. You know, Maxey Priest, when you think about it, to me, he's the most dangerous Sixer, period. I don't want to hear about Embiid. Embiid, I know the talent there. He's a flopper. You know, he's an agitator. He has all those things. He's very gifted. But Maxey's the guy, I think, when you think about it as a Knicks fan, you should be more worried about that dude than anyone. And to know, and we granted, we're going to say maybe fatigue played a part. I'll give him that much. But when you look at what McCall
down the first
game, that was on 31 possessions. McCall shut him down. Yeah. He was guarding for 31 possessions. And when you look at the stat, the guy that we paid all those picks for and that we thought we were going to get, he's here for that moment and these types of situations where you have a guy like a Maxey, like a VJ Edgecombe, that they're getting off their game. And if you stop Maxey, like I'm not trying to be a fortune teller of tonight's game, but if this happens again, people just need to shut the hell up about Mikal Bridges. Because if he comes and proves that he can put Maxey in a position and make him very uncomfortable and he doesn't go for 50 tonight, Mikal Bridges needs probably an apology note for Eric before he gets off the train tonight.
He could very well go for 50 today. With Embiid out, he's going to be a volume shooter tonight. They're going to flow everything through him tonight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think they're more dangerous tonight. I've said it earlier. I think they're more dangerous without Embiid because
I've seen the first three quarters they're more dangerous. In the fourth quarter, I don't think they're more dangerous. I think Embiid is.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
The thing with the Sixers is they offer something that the Knicks usually have a problem with, and those are those two useful guys, Edgecombe and Maxey. Usually those are the ones that, because they're going to attack Brunson. I mean, let's just put it where it is. Brunson is the weakest link in that area. You know, not to no fault of his own. He's just who he is physically. Physically, he can't block shots. Physically, he does not have the lateral quickness to. I mean, on offense, you would think, wow, this guy dances like Fred Astaire. But meanwhile, on defense, he doesn't have the lateral quickness to stay in front of some of these guys. So it is definitely going to have to be a meeting at the rim when these guys are getting past them. So. But, they got to guard him on the other end, too. So I think Edgecombe got a little bit taken out of his game having to guard Brunson. He got a little bit of schooling because, according to him, as we know, the guard is not that important, basically. It's like these rookies never learn. You just don't say those things coming into a playoff series like that because they're going to hand you your money back. That's for sure.
Right.
But, so shout out to Mikal Bridges. I think it's kind of cool that he gets a chance. Hold on, Eric said one thing. Hold on. Let's see what he says. He's reporting from afar. Edgecombe was bad in game one. I expect I accept proving in game two. Okay. We're going to get you a little hook on the phonics there, though, but that's all right. Shout out. But no, listen, let's see. He had to come back. He had to correct. Autocorrect that, Eric. But yeah, I mean, these guys definitely, they're very talented, as we know. So I expect them to, lay an egg again. If they lay an egg tonight, you must well call Purdue because the chickens is coming home to roost. They lay another egg, and then the Knicks travel heavy down to Philly. Like, there's no home court for Philadelphia, in my opinion. I don't think that this has no home court advantage. The Knicks fans have bought up, from what I understand, most of the tickets already.
In a playoff series, very few teams in the league have a home court advantage on the Knicks.
Big time. I mean, maybe Boston. Maybe in Boston.
Boston's one of them. Chicago, if they were in a playoff series with Chicago, you wouldn't see that either, I don't think.
Yeah, it's like when you look at that, the Knicks fans, and like I said, we've been the paper bag fans for quite a while now, and now we're starting to come out. You didn't realize there was this many Knicks fans, but however, we're starting to see them come out. Let's go to this dude. We're gonna do him one name. The words of Clyde Frazier. What does Brown do for you? Well, I guess the question is for New York fans. We're sitting here obviously in the second round. I would say the measuring stick is going to be the Eastern Conference Finals, given where Tom Thibodeau, took us to. If we want to say that Tom took us, we have to give him all the credit because we did get there under his supervision. So far, I mean, we've heard a lot of question marks about Mike Brown. The question marks is about the postseason. We saw in the Atlanta series that Mike Brown made some alterations. Now, we are all wondering and curious what happened after that game. What was it, 2 or 3? Like what switch went on for the Knicks and it decided, the third game. We don't know what transpired, whether it was a locker room conversation or Mike Brown's adjustments, or they said, pluck it. We're just buying in all of a sudden. But there was a lot of doubt early in the season after Karl Towns has always, announced that he didn't understand his role. He didn't understand this. He didn't feel comfortable. He's still trying to figure things out. And from what many have said, when they look at this, what is being ran now, they're saying that this is pretty much what Mike Brown always wanted to run. It wasn't like some fabricated thing that just popped up. This is what he's been believing worked. So I guess the question we have to ask as Knicks fans and as fans of basketball in general, what we're seeing here from Mike Brown in this system on offense, I mean, clearly we're going to give him credit for defense too. It's not just one-sided right now. But what we're seeing from offense, for many people compared to the Golden State Warriors, that's what they talk about. Okay. A lot of his actions are what Draymond ran from the handoffs, from, being the passer, and we're seeing Karl Towns put in that role. Are we seeing maybe Mike Brown was smarter than the players? Or smarter than people give him credit for? Because let me tell you, this has been a deadly what that offense in when it was in Warriors. What was it called? The death lineup?
Death lineup.
Well, this is definitely a serial killer lineup. It was not a death one. This is just the most ridiculous thing when you talk about the scoring, which is something never associated in New York. High-powered offense, yeah, Rick Pitino maybe, but you never hear that. The New York Knicks have always been a town about defense, grind it out, and you hope that we can score. But right now, they're obliterating teams offensively. Is it time to start talking nicely about Mike Brown? Talk to me nicely, as he said. Maybe he's saying that to us. Talk to him nicely. He has proven that he knew what he was talking about, because clearly this thing is lit right now.
Okay, so I get a couple of comments about that. Mm-hmm. If this was always the vision, and we knew that he won a couple of titles as an assistant in Golden State, and he saw that work firsthand, why wasn't it implemented earlier? Is the question that I have. Because again, you could say, oh, he pulled it out at the appropriate time. Well, you were down 2-1. That's not the appropriate time in a playoff series. And nothing for nothing, any system that you run improves with repetition and familiarity and all of those things. So you were shooting yourself in the foot. So what command does he not have in the locker room that he couldn't get the things that he wanted to get done? That's the first thing that I'm going to just come out and say. Mm-hmm. On the other side of the coin, I'm going to talk about something that he's handled that I liked very much this season and into the playoffs. He kept the entire bench involved on rotation and ready.
Big time.
Everybody got their turn on the wheel, kind of coming through. If you notice it and you look through it, Kolic's on rotation. Okay, now he's going back to, and he kept them fresh and engaged and involved. Mm-hmm. I think that was a masterstroke, personally.
Absolutely.
But he may have been right. Going back to the first point, he may have been right about this all along, but why couldn't he get it done? Is there some kind of leadership problem there? Are people really not buying in, and can he not get the things that he needs to get done in that locker room? Does he not have the right relationships with the right players in order to get those things done? Because what it seems like is just, oh shit, we're down 2-1. Okay, we'll do what Brown wants us to do. I don't know if it's a real story, but it kind of smells like it. So that's my thoughts.
I'm gonna double down on what you said because, and I know this is gonna come to a shock with some people who know me. I always say there's no Brunson bashing with me, but that doesn't mean I can't critique him. You got to ask the question between. I mean, it's a superstar team, so the best two players on this team is Karl-Anthony Towns and obviously Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
So we've heard vocally, excuse me, Carl lend his opinion outward. So we've seen him step out on the limb and say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I fit in. So naturally, when you look at that kind of scenario, I think people are going to automatically say it was Towns. But then I go back to Jalen Brunson. Jalen's phenomenal. I mean, talk about ISO scorer.
Yeah.
He's friggin' elite. Let's not even get into this whole, he's undersized, whatever the story you want to say. Allen Iverson was undersized. And he was an elite. He had the elite way of scoring because of his quickness. But when you talk about pound for pound, when you look at Jalen Brunson, he's like Allen Iverson and efficient.
He's a straight killer.
He's one of those dudes.
Straight killer.
And what ends up happening in those situations where you're a guy who's like, I have the advantage. I always have the advantage because I can cook. He can cook. He's a whole chef. He's got his own restaurant. It's brilliant to watch and unfold. However, let's go back to his sous chef, the one who gave him the cooking lessons initially, which was Rick Brunson.
Yeah.
We saw during the Hawks series the towel gate. Jalen Brunson has the towel over his face. Rick's doing the whole like when a father talks to you, and it was like, you gonna shut that down? Like the pops gonna shut it down? You have to start wondering, was Brunson resisting handing things over? Because he passed the rock a lot. He's damn good. So that's why for me, I don't complain because most of it goes in. But when you do hear people talk about Jalen Brunson, like people that aren't fans of the game or they're just viewing it, they say that guy has the ball a lot. And the answer is yes, he does. In most scenario and cases, he does. Sometimes we've seen him force things a little too much because he knows he can get it. And he's like, well, I'm elite. I'm going to do what I need to do. They can't stop me. But we talked about, I think it was last show, we talked about the need for team concepts. You're not winning without Karl-Anthony Towns. You're not winning without OG Anunoby. And I'm thinking that there was a little resistance from Brunson, who's wide to score. Probably should be an off-ball person, to be honest. I mean, because he's just that damn elite in ISO scoring. I'm wondering if that's where the conflicts were from. Was it being Jalen Brunson being told to do something different and him ignoring Brown a little bit, like, no, I'm just going to cook because I've been cooking for 2 years here and it works. And his teammates probably are going to say it worked too because, they love Jalen, obviously. He's a good person, obviously. He's a great teammate. They love him. And they're like, throw the ball to Jalen. He's going to get us 30 or 40. Clearly he's hit marks only Michael Jordan has hit. Even this year, that's just how elite he is. But I'm thinking Brown probably was like, well, it would make sense if we ran this through Carl. Just the actions. So we can get you off ball. I'm going to buy a little bit that they're two superstars. One is complaining outwardly, one has not. But I think that he was meeting some challenges in that locker room. And I think it was from those two, maybe in different ways. Maybe Cat bought in and Jalen decided he wasn't buying it. Who knows? But I don't think OG Anunoby has that kind of pull in the locker room where
the only person that's got that kind of pull is Brunson. And I haven't thought about what you're talking about before, but it makes sense. Now that I'm hearing it, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think the resistance. I mean, it's the one thing when you're one of those players, And I think all of the elite players, the elite guys, not the professionals, not the role players, those guys that have those minds, those beautiful basketball minds, like the LeBron James, the Michael Jordans, Magic Johnsons. Those are the hardest dudes to coach.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're basically, as a coach, you're coming in fighting with another coach that can actually put it on the floor and do something with it. So now you're like, Mike Brown can't, and Jalen Brunson's mind says, well, you can't come tell me stuff. His father's been in the league. Mike never played in the league. So there's a little bit of an arrogance no matter how, because Jalen Brunson's snarky. I always say that about him. He's a snarky dude. And I think that he comes off very funny, obviously, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have basketball arrogance. And I think a lot of those guys at that elite level that have the special talents that can get their own shots. We've seen Kobe Bryant, rest in peace to him. These guys are sometimes hard to work with. So as much as I love Brunson, I'm going to still say he is one of those guys probably wired with a lot of, I told you, he's got the bobblehead. So he's like a Funko doll. So he's got all that energy and all that stuff waking up in his head. And he's like, well, I know what's better for the team. I know what has worked. I know what I can do. And deferring probably is not his best attribute. I don't think he wants to defer. Why would he ever want to defer and he can get 45 points whenever he feels like it? I don't know. I'm thinking that way. I think they resisted Brown and then they realized that the way they were doing it clearly. And Brunson learned it the hard way. He was ISOing. Mm-hmm. He didn't get that shot off. He had a bad shot. What is in game 2, game 3 or whatever? Those were the games where many people felt like he was holding the ball a little too much and he wasn't distributing it. So maybe he had a come to light-skinned Jesus moment. I don't know. Maybe that's what it was.
Going down 2-1 to an inferior team can do that.
Yeah. And you now hear his language in the post games. One of the things he talks about a lot is, staying focused, not getting ahead of themselves. Like, I think that I know the one thing that I heard during their roommates podcast when brought up about the thing he could erase the most in a game. And it's always it was the Tyrese Halliburton shot. I don't think people take that as serious as they probably think the Knicks do. That was an embarrassment. And I'm almost sure they all collectively don't ever want to feel that way again. And the Hawks probably got them a little bit nervous, thinking that, oh, here we go again. We blew our chance. And maybe I think Brunson was a little heroic in the third game. Probably did a little hero ball, and it didn't work. And he probably had to come back down and say, hey, because clearly Brown, they've been practicing these things. I agree with you. Just jump into a different mode. I think they've been resisting the practice.
I have another Brown question.
Mm-hmm.
I don't stick around a lot after the games and watch the interviews. Maybe I should more.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think Brown's relationship is with the Core's players here? Because I never hear them speak or read of them speaking about him positively or complimentary or anything along those lines. I don't recall ever coming across that. I'm interested to see if you have.
I've only heard one time when, and this is also watching the roommates, never in a post game. It was the roommates when they talked about Brown coming in and how they were excited. Well, Jalen in particular said he was excited to hear something new. Like basically, I thought it was telling that he was probably one of those people and what we thought was a defender of Tibbs, and maybe he realized Tibbs had worn out his welcome a little bit too. So,
but that was also in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. So this is early on.
For somebody who wears out that welcome pretty quickly.
Yeah, and maybe that is what it is. And I think Brown actually does himself a disservice in a way, because it's hard for someone to declare you to be the leader when they watch you give your job to someone else to do off the bench, because you're allowing these other coaches to have a voice, not in a bad way, but sometimes that could be a little undermining, because say you and I are doing a job and I'm saying I'm the expert at it, but somehow you come in and you're getting better results than I am. Now, all of a sudden, now my leadership's in question, because now they're going to say, well, Ty may have known what he was doing, but Joe's the expert at what he's doing. And he's been able to get us to, like, how he's explaining it or how he's articulating it or the execution. It makes sense. And Mike has deferred to a lot of his bench players or his bench coaches. So what if one of those coaches' voice resonates better with the team, then Mike is undermining his own authority. Because now all of a sudden he might come in and say, oh, by the way, and they're going to like, by the way, your ass, you can go on, I'm not listening to you. And, now the respect becomes a little bit different because you're a leader of men and you're a leader of millionaires. You have to be an alpha person. I don't think you can have a laid back personality and kind of coach these guys, at least when you need to be tough on them. I don't see Brown being tough. Maybe he doesn't want to wear out his welcome. Maybe he has a reputation. Obviously, we've heard that before about him rubbing people the wrong way. Maybe he's like just doing the autopilot thing, and you're going to get fired. So you must coach someone you want to coach because you're going to get fired.
The thing I've always felt about him is if you lead the Sacramento Kings to the playoffs and get fired the next year, you've got some kind of a personality issue.
It's something. It's definitely something. Well, we knew it with Thibodeau. We said how the countdown was how many years because at some point he's going to exhaust his stay. And it just so happened. I think of course being that they just got to the Eastern Conference Finals, people were like, oh, why would you fire him now? I think he would have been fired. He probably was supposed to be fired the year prior because he probably wore out his welcome again. And Brown may have a short window as well.
You're sitting at the front office, which you can't do as a head coach.
Yeah, definitely. So that's a good thing. I mean, you brought up a great point. It's like Well, Crawford said, "What can Brown do for you?" Maybe the Knicks players are saying not enough. Maybe they also asked for this because a lot of them wanted a new coach. Now, whether it was their choice of who they wanted. We are now believing. I think it's safe to say that Brown wasn't the first choice of the New York Knicks.
That's safe to say.
It's safe to say. I mean, the list that we know that was rolled out. It's like I got the job, because nobody else wanted it or couldn't get it. So, literally, I don't think that nobody was looking for Mike Brown. But in all fairness, he's been like a good, go-between, I guess, from leaving from Thibodeau. He's more of a little bit of a soft.
Something needed to change. Getting Mike Brown in, and I loved Thibodeau, but getting Mike Brown in was better than another season running back with Thibodeau.
Yeah, because I'm looking at I'll give him a ton of credit. Mike Brown extending this bench and the confidence these guys comes in and play with. Like you said, the Koliks. You would think Kolik's been playing all year the way when he comes into games. Obviously the New York fans love him. But the confidence he's shown every time he comes in, he makes winning plays. So under Thibodeau, he undermined any of those guys. You were 5 to 7 players, and that was it. He's on maybe 7. I guess he would go 7. Did he go 7? No.
And even a vet like Jordan Clarkson, who granted has historically been a bench player, but one that's gotten a significant amount of minutes, he's had him in and out of the rotation just enough to keep him engaged and hungry.
Yep.
Because Jordan Clarkson this is a different Jordan Clarkson than the Jordan Clarkson I've seen. I've seen times with him as a Knick that he's just a different player and is taking this a lot more, taking his game holistically a lot more seriously and not just thinking he's got to go out and get his.
Yeah.
He's kept him engaged while keeping him hungry, which is, again, I think it's the best thing I've seen Brown done this year is how he's handled the bench.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Jordan Clarkson because, obviously when he was signed, a lot of question marks, was thought to be a chucker. That's what most people thought about him, even though he's won Sixth Man of the Year, obviously. Yeah. But he's just basically a guy that comes in and he's going to microwave up the score and do what he needs to do. But now we're seeing the one thing I enjoyed about watching his evolution is the fact he defends. He's a very good defender. It's like, we're now seeing a guy who
about him
on a player or, find his man, and then be a distributor also. Definitely, like you said, I think that's a key word, holistic evolution of his game because he's like, I'm more than just the guy who comes off the bench with the long braids that can score. I'm capable of being a solid basketball player. And I think that's what we're seeing all around from most of the Knicks. I don't think, when you look at the totality of everyone, Karl Anthony Towns' points are probably a little bit down. His shots attempts are down. But he's having a hell of a year. It wasn't like he was having a terrible year. It was just like we're used to the hero ball so much from these type of guys, and we're waiting
And he's
for that part.
being impactful in ways that aren't necessarily just putting the ball in the hole. He's rebounded better this season. I think he seems to be at least blocking shots better. He's distributing the ball a lot better. We've got a good dose of that lately. I still don't know that he's being used right, though. I think more of the offense needs to run through him. I think he needs more touches than he's getting. I'd rather see him and Brunson get more of an equal distribution of shot attempts, personally.
I'm mad old school. It's never going to change for me. As far as how I view basketball, I've accepted the versions I've seen, but for me, when you have a big, it's inside out.
Yeah.
You know, that's just I'm never going to defer from that. You have a post player, it's just chopped meat down there. In this league, which I think is so crazy, to know that it's all been 3-point, but I must give the Knicks credit. We've seen a mix of offense. It hasn't been die heavy by the three. They've, one, their best player offensively, I guess if you want to say it. I mean, it's a debate, obviously. I'm just saying, on quote, everybody believes Brunson is their best player. His game is fully mid-range. It's like it has the ability to go and stretch out, but his magic is in the footwork and getting into the paint. So the Knicks do offer a good variety of ways of scoring, which is great. But I do believe that when you like a game like tonight, you need to unleash everything the Bodega got because I thought they could have exposed Embiid even more. I mean, granted, Towns was in foul trouble early, but I'm like, why wouldn't you ISO that dude and make him lose the rest of his kneecap because he can't keep up with him? Doesn't have a lot of quickness, nor does Philly have shot blockers like that. So any foray into the paint, Karl-Anthony Towns, an up fake, and he gets you off your legs, especially if you're Embiid, that's cooked. That you can run that all night. And I don't think nobody's going to be able to chase him down on a weak side to block his shot. He's a big body also, great finisher at the rim when he wants to. Why would you not go through that dude? I would go strictly through him, especially tonight. This would not be a Jalen Brunson feature night to me. You go right into the big dude and let him get his, eat the meat off the bone tonight and then take it from there afterwards. But we'll see about that. I wanted to bring up this dude. I'm just going to redo his initials because I just think he's an original gangster. OG Anunoby, man. We can all go back and revisit trades, which we have done. Obviously, the Macau one has been ad nauseum revisited over and over. We know when Eric's going to come up and say something about Macau Bridge. We like, here we go. So this dude was met with a lot of scrutiny or question marks. I know you didn't have a lot of question marks for him, but I think a lot of times when people, we had our fan favorite, obviously the RJ Barretts and Emmanuel Quickly's, that trade, obviously homegrown once again. New York Knicks fans always believe that they're handing someone else something great, and I can understand that. Albeit I've not seen one player that's been traded from the core of what we had that went somewhere else and played like a superstar and made us regret it.
Yep.
What's happened is the guys that we brought in, the Josh Harts for, I can't think of the guy's name now, and Cam Reddish, there you go, Scam Reddish. I go, Scam Reddish. We're like, you're sending out youth and a pick, bring him back in, it becomes Josh Hart. Can't argue with it. Same thing with a guy like RJ Barrett, homegrown, third pick. Daniel Quickly, a gem, so to say. I wasn't a big fan of his, but a gem for most. They love Quickly in the Garden. They love him as a Knick. Ship him out, and of course the flags was OG Anunoby. We know he defends, but what else he got? And
he got a lot more.
He got a lot damn more. He had a lot more. I mean, I always go back. I said when it comes to Jalen Brunson, I said the only person that thought he had that was him and Rick Brunson. Well, OG Anunoby came in and he told people, "I got more in my bag. I want to have more of the offense now. I'm going to show in Toronto. Nobody was buying that crap." They're like, dude, nobody Nobody's giving you the keys to the mansion. Are you serious? You need to find a role and stick to your role. And lo and behold, he comes here, and obviously, when he got traded, we went on a hellified winning streak where we barely lost games when he was in the starting lineup. Obviously, health has been a concern, so we've watched him.
It has improved.
Yeah, he has had those things happen.
After he signed his contract, it seemed his health improved.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, yeah, might be selective health. You never know. But what we saw was when that contract came out, people were like paying him all that damn money. He's holding the Knicks hostage, basically because they had no other choice because they traded away two of their best players. And you can't let him walk, and now you have no assets. So you've got to have to pony up whatever he has. Well, when you look at his impact over these years since he's been a Knick, and we've been waiting, we're like, well, he supposedly has more to his game. He got a lot more to his damn game right now because we're watching a guy turn into an elite two-way player.
Yes.
And he was elite on defense at one point, but now on the offense. I mean, I'm like looking at his shots saying, well, it's going in. Even the ones they look odd and off, I'm like, he's locked in. He's going to hit those shots now. Not no shock to you because you've always been a fan of OG Anunoby, but are you a little bit shocked at where you see him at, though?
Yeah, I didn't see this coming. I mean, I was on this show talking about him before that trade was even anything about trading for him. And I believed we won the trade then, and I believe we won the trade now, personally. I expected more from him offensively, but what I'm seeing now, no. He's not flashy. He's not sensational. He's not a lot of things, but you hit the word, it's really dependable. Look at his stats in this playoffs. Look at their win-loss record because when he's in the game versus not in the game. I got to tell you honestly, and I'm probably going to get hit with a shoe for this walking down the street one of these days, but if there was a list of players I didn't want to see out of a Knick uniform, in other words, if there was some kind of like a sale going on and we were shipping people out, I don't know that he wouldn't be the second one on the list that was staying. In all seriousness, I think he's that important to the team because of the impact he has on both sides of the ball. And the thing is, he doesn't really need plays run for him at all, which makes him a perfect third scoring option.
Big time. Big time.
And he's still highly effective in that role. So I didn't see him becoming this, no. I knew he was a good player. I believed that he had more, but what I'm seeing now is a shock. And I think you're right. I think he is playing right now like one of the best two-way wings in the game, personally.
If I had to think of, he's had the Kawhi Leonard comparisons. Kawhi's probably a little bit more offensively talented.
Kawhi's a better player.
Yeah,
Kawhi's a great player.
You're starting to see he may be the lighter little cousin version of Kawhi.
I could go with Kawhi Light.
Yeah, Kawhi Light, because when looking at what he's bringing to the table, which is, that's not an insult by any means. People say
no.
Kawhi Light. I just think if he had maybe a little bit more dribble to his game, taking guys off the bounce or whatever. But we are noticing that he's putting the ball on.
He's putting the ball on the deck. It's better than advertised. He doesn't have the greatest handle, but
you know what? But he seems to be driving now with a purpose. Like he's sometimes back in the day, it was like he was making moves, and it almost like he was like got stuck in the middle, like, oh, hold on. He has those moments, and now he's like, I got it, I'm going. I got it, I'm going. There's not a bunch of overthinking, like even on his shots outside. He's like
right under the hoop is about confidence.
Yep. And he's developed. I think I always tell my nephew the same thing. I said he has one of his friends that plays some basketball with him, and he's the big kid on the team. And there was a couple of plays where I was laughing. I said, "Oh, he's realizing he's the big guy. He's the biggest kid in the gym." because he was being polite at first. And all of a sudden now he started taking the ball and he would swat the ball and grab his like, give me the lunch. Give me your lunchbox. Because I know you can't take it from me. I'm going to take it from you. I think that's the thing with Kawhi Leonard, I'm sorry, not Kawhi Light, OG Anunoby. I do believe that he's figured out he's the big guy. Like, if I go this way with all my power, there's not a damn guy in the league that's really ready to stop me or stand in front of me. This isn't a league where Jalen Brunson takes charges. There's not a lot of guys willing to take that charge or get embarrassed. Some dudes will just move out the way and say, hey, you got the dunk, because they don't want to end up on a poster or on YouTube, so to say. So I think OG Anunoby is realizing his physicality. He's worked on that clearly more. We don't see a lot of the falling anymore like he used to do. But, man, I mean, I've just been impressed. The shooting alone, I mean, he worked with or he got advice from Dirk Nowitzki. Well, clearly he took all the damn advice because the dude can shoot. He's got a nice game. And then once he's revved up on defense, I mean, good luck. Just good luck. The Knicks are one of those teams that they definitely have the talent. And once we said the Dobermans are out right now, and it's going to be ugly for the rest of the league if these start locking in like we think their potential is, and we get a chance to see them, excel at it.
You know something? I think that's the biggest thing that you and I particularly have thought were missing at different times. That missing chunk of potential was really the wings.
Oh, yeah.
Wings both operating on all cylinders at the same time simultaneously. And what a nightmare that would be for other teams.
And we finally getting our wish, because now you're seeing what Mikal did to Maxey. And granted, Maxey's a talent. I know that's not going to happen every game, but this is what we've been wanting. Like, you and I have been talking about Dobermans for the longest time, and we've been getting like two puppies. You know, like we
get one Doberman at a time.
Yeah, we get like one Doberman, the other one's a Chihuahua. He's doing a little bark, thinking to scan somebody, and that's literally Mikal. He was the little Chihuahua. We was waiting for him to be the whole grown dog. You know, so now seeing and from what I understand about Mike Brown, he's big on wings. That was the big thing for him in Sacramento.
You said that before in this show, actually.
Yeah, he was the one thing in Sacramento. He wanted them to get wings, and they just were never. It's Sacramento. I mean, they don't probably get good wings there anyway. No matter in the restaurants, let alone you're going to get a damn wing. I mean, let's just keep it real, you know. But needless to say,
order wings and you get bat wings.
Yeah. Start going like this. Yeah. Man, take your order. Y'all will figure that out one day. But needless to say, you know, he's been always fond of running a lot through the wings. That's what his concept is. So, you know, a lot of things have worked good for Mike Brown. I mean, when I look at, you know, like I said, OG's having a fantastic year under Mike Brown. You know, he was one of the ones that Mike sought out early and said, well, you should be on an all-defensive team. And he thought it was blasphemous that he only made one so far in his whole career, which I thought was kind of crazy, too. I'm like, this dude was sought after because of his defense. He never made one.
Everybody in the league talks about his defense.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's an elite defender and a 3D player. You know, it wasn't like he was terrible from the corners. He's just now shooting everywhere else, too. But in looking at that, you know, he picked he's having a hell of a year under Mike Brown, and I think he deserves a lot of credit. You know, he was scrutinized earlier, but there's some games we don't win without him. Yeah. You know, and he has an advantage tonight and during this series. I don't think there's a guy on Philly. I'm just going through the roster in my head. There's not someone that can stop OG Anunoby. I don't think that there's not an answer for him. And I think the thing that what people forget about the Knicks have been winning these series against Philly. Now, granted, they've got Edgecombe now. You know, they got Boy George up in there too. I mean,
they're gonna throw him on Paul George and lock him down.
Yeah. So when you look at that, I think the Knicks have a lot of confidence in. You know, they don't view Philly. Not that they don't have respect for them, but I'm just saying I think they realize they have ways. They believe they can still beat them. You know, so well, we'll find out in a few more minutes. Not that it's true, but any thoughts on the game tonight?
I think the Knicks are going to win. I think VJ Edgecombe is going to have a big game.
Yeah, I think BJ's got the
I
better.
think that's the gap in the defense. I think they're going to put Bridges on
Mhm.
Maxey more often, although he will also play on Edgecombe, and I think they're going to put OG on Paul George with what's his head out with Embiid out. And I think EJ Edgecombe's going to have a big game, but I think the Knicks are going to win by, I'm going to say, 11.
Very good. Very good. Very good. It's possible. I mean, like I said, if Maxey has an off night, it could be this could be night early.
I don't think they are. I think they're going to come back strong. I think Edgecombe's going to have a big game. Maxey's going to be harder to defend in the first game. But I think Philly's going to show up more. I just don't think that they walk away with the W. And I think the point differential is going to be about 10, 11 points.
That sounds solid. Who would you put on Edgecombe?
I would do just what I said right now. I would really sit down and you're going to have to do a rotation on Maxey because you just can't stick Mikal Bridges on him the whole game and then have Brunson covering your off guard. Yeah. You know what I mean? You can't do that.
No.
So they're going to have to rotate, but I think you're going to see OG basically planted on Paul George, unless Edgecombe starts erupting. But I don't know that I like OG on Edgecombe as much. Athletic wing. He's a little bit big for that. I mean, he could switch better than most defensive players in the entire league, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder who I would even. I mean, you would think Deuce, but I think he's a little taller than Deuce, maybe.
Edgecombe, yeah. Edgecombe's like 6'5".
Yeah, and Deuce is a little. That's one of the things that with Deuce that I've noticed is that his defense. I mean, he's going to give you all effort, but I think that I'm not saying it's overrated, but he's also short. Much like Brunson. I mean, I think people forget the height requirement needed. Somebody like Shamet might be a good option, or Jordan Clarkson. That might be a good matchup for him to come in and play some minutes on Edgecombe because he definitely has the length to bother him. So we'll see. It's going to be pretty interesting.
I like the Shamet suggestion. Actually, I think maybe him getting reintegrated in, he might find his stroke again. He hits a couple of threes, and if he can lock him down, that would be perfect. Because again, their main offensive problems are all on the perimeter right now.
Yeah.
So as long as you have Brunson in the rotation, one of those guys is going to do whatever they want.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the only thing that Jalen could benefit and help out this team is if he can get one of them in foul trouble.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking they're going to stick Paul George on Jalen Brunson. That's what they're going to do. They'll probably switch him on defense and have him, although that didn't work out too well the last time. You would hope that it would be a Maxey on him, or an Edgecombe having to guard him because Brunson can get you into foul trouble. So and
he's a lot more cagey and they're still young.
Yeah. So he can get them to bite on some stuff. That to me would make better sense, being that we know what's going to happen at the other end when they seek out Brunson. They're going to seek out that mismatch and they're going to exploit him because he can't. I mean, it's just what it is. Yeah. Love him, but he just can't stop guys. It's just what happened, And you put a lot of pressure on the Karl Anthony Towns and the Mitchell Robinsons having to meet these guys at the rim or rotate. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, who knows? Maybe Josh has an invigorated night and he decides to play him and he can limit him. He did a great job with what's the kid in Atlanta, Josh something.
Dylan Johnson.
So, sometimes Hart is a weird dude. Sometimes he looks like the old man out there, and another time he gets invigorated and he plays a very tough game. So we'll see what happens. All righty. Well, we're going to wrap this up. We're almost showtime for the game. I mean, although we got probably 15 minutes of nonsensical talking that we don't want to listen to before the game. But all right, we're going to wrap this up with a bow. Eric, hopefully you're having a good time. Bring us some luck. That's what we're hoping, that you're in there and
I think they win most of the time when he goes.
They do.
It's probably 75% of the time, easy.
He also went to the Carmelo game where Melo had the record out. He was at that game. So let's
against
hope.
Charlotte, right?
Yeah, against Charlotte. Eric was at that game. So let's hope that the rabbit foot. The rabbit wasn't too lucky. I always say that the rabbit foot. The rabbit wasn't lucky. So
maybe he's growing that goatee. Maybe that's a lucky goatee.
yeah,
You could ring it the entire game and just wring the magic out of it.
Casting spells. Let's see if it works. All right, all Knicked Up family. We're gonna call it a night. From Ty to Joe. Let's go Knicks. Hey, let's get this 2-0 and go down and bust up some Phillies steaks after that and see what works out. Shout out Craig. What's going on, Craig? You somewhere out there in La La Land. We hate to do that to you. I know he's not even a Philadelphia fan anyway. But don't you say that because you can't get back in the house because your wife's a Philadelphia fan. So tread lightly, brother. All right, for Ty and Joe and the All Knicked Up crew, we want to bid you good night and good luck to the Knicks, and we will talk to you soon. Peace out.